Hi, this is Adrian from International Education Today. Today I will be talking about COVID-19 and its impact upon education in China. As everyone is aware, the virus was first discovered in Wuhan in Hubei province in December of 2019. By the time we reached January, it was Chinese New Year, and all schools across the country, like all businesses, were closed for a national holiday. I, with my family, went to Bali, Indonesia, to spend a 2-week vacation. During that time, it became increasingly apparent that the virus was no longer isolated within Wuhan and had begun to spread. As a result, the government of the People's Republic of China took immediate action to place the country under lockdown, closing businesses and schools. As such, we had to react with immediate effect to secure the educational future of the children in our care. That presented enormous challenges, as many of our teachers were no longer in Shanghai, where our school is. In my case, for example, I had gone to the United Kingdom with my family, seeking refuge from the epidemic as it then was. Similarly, many of my colleagues had returned to their countries of origin with the intention of waiting out the virus before returning to work when things had returned to normal. With our teachers and our students being confined to their homes, and with no other way of providing learning for our students, we had to make an immediate switch to a process of online learning. And this had to be immediate. Straight after Chinese New Year, academic programs were due to recommence. In the case of our IGCSE and A-level candidates, we were aware that they would be potentially disadvantaged as schools across the world were still open, while our students here in China were learning from home. Thus, we had to implement a process of online learning immediately. On the first Monday of school closure after Chinese New Year, we at my school, Yawa International Education School of Shanghai Lingang, were able to initiate a wide program of online learning for all of our students in our secondary school. We were able to do the same the following week for those in our primary section. It's not that we had planned for or expected an epidemic, which subsequently became a global pandemic, to affect our school. But we already had in place systems which we were able to quickly adjust in order to facilitate online learning. In our secondary school, we were commonly using Microsoft Teams in class and especially for homework. This meant that students already had accounts with Microsoft Teams and were able to use that platform to continue their learning. Our teachers were more than au fait with the platform, and making the switch to using the video facility was natural. Thus, from day one of closure, we were able to provide lessons using Teams to all of our secondary students. As time went on, we became aware that we couldn't do everything through Microsoft Teams, and we needed to introduce other platforms. So we adopted ClassIn, and that became the tool that was used mainly by our Chinese teachers in delivering their programs, and by most of my colleagues who work in our primary section. ClassIn, like Teams, is another facility whereby you can use video conferencing with your students. Not dissimilar to Zoom, which many schools across the world have used, but actually a tool which was purposely designed for delivering educational programs. So teachers were able to drag in PowerPoint presentations, were able to interact with students who were able to write in real time on their own devices for the teacher to be able to see the work that they'd done. It also enabled us to set up small groups within ClassIn, where students could work in groups of 4 or 5 in separate rooms, whilst all being monitored by the teacher. This was revolutionary for us, but we were able to do it with immediate effect. We were able to provide education for our students from morning to night, every day through the school closure. We adjusted our timetables to fit the time zones that our teachers were in. Our Chinese teachers and those foreigners who'd remained in China were teaching at normal times. But most lessons taught by our UK-based or American colleagues were taught in the evening, China time, so it was the morning in the country where the teacher was based. This did not put undue pressure or stress upon the teachers. The workload was not increased. Still, teachers had to do their normal planning and deliver lessons. This meant that everybody on our staff was able to be paid throughout the lockdown period because everybody continued to work as normal. There was no pause, no hesitancy, no floundering to be able to work upon solutions to a problem. We were ready. As well as these tools, we also make common use of accelerated reading. So students were encouraged to read in between class time or when they were doing homework, and to use the accelerated reading software to be able to answer the questions as normal, so that our English department could track their progress in their subject. Again, this isn't too difficult. We were able to do it very, very easily because we were already using this approach to blended learning. Blended learning was the key. To introduce it hastily, as has happened in so many schools across the world, has led to blurring of lines and confusion for parents and students alike. Teachers are not comfortable with tools that they've never used in the past. Our students rose to the challenge immediately. Their parents were wonderfully supportive in making sure that they had access to the necessary tools. Now, I recognize that we're in a position of relative luxury in the sense that Wi-Fi is universally available across Shanghai, and that the cohort of students I work with will have access to the tools of learning which are necessary for online learning. But the students refused to be negatively impacted by the physical closure of our school. They worked closely with their teachers, and they were able to continue to make academic progress. We were continually able to assess their work and ensure that this progress was being made and tracked. We're immensely proud of our students in our school. We're especially proud of those of the IGCSE and A-level cohorts. When schools initially closed in January, it seemed like they were going to be hugely disadvantaged, given that at the time schools across the world were open and only our students here in China were having to face school closure. Nevertheless, through hard work and dedication, they kept up with their work, and the results that they've achieved at IGCSE and A-level were fantastic. The period of online learning was a learning curve for all of us. We're now back in school. We actually reopened in March and gradually reintegrated our students through April. Ironically, our IGCSE and A-level candidates could have sat the examinations as originally scheduled. High school students in Chinese government schools were actually able to sit their Gaokao examinations almost as normal. The exams were postponed and pushed back until July, but students were able to sit them and now will be able to attend university as in any other year, as these are the pre-university examinations that all students sit across China. The same things could have happened across the world had countries responded in the same way as the government of China and taken the global pandemic more seriously. On Tuesday, the 1st of September, we resumed school for all of our students. We can't wait to see them. It's going to be great to actually be back to normal. As they enter school, their temperatures will be taken twice. They have to fill in forms with their parents, and we have to ensure that nobody who could potentially be carrying the virus enters our school campus. Visitors are not allowed on campus. Parents are not even allowed on campus. Our borders will be checked upon arrival, but also every morning before they proceed to breakfast. Measures taken across China are still extremely rigorous. There's no letting up in combating the potential second wave of COVID-19. We're also aware that we need to be ready in case there is a second wave. It's no good to rest upon our laurels now. We're very happy with the way that we dealt with the initial period of online learning, but we know with the experience that we've had that we can only improve next time. Thus, in our in-service training, we've been working on utilizing platforms like Khan Academy, readtheory.com, and Seesaw, which gives us more tools to our bow that we're able to use if we are subsequently to return to online learning. Being ready is essential. We must be prepared for the future. Not to have been ready the first time would have been unfortunate. To be not ready the second time would be bordering upon criminal. So we're really excited that we're going to be resuming, and we're really hopeful now that the virus is under control in China. We hope, too, particularly in my case, as someone from the UK, that this virus can be taken more seriously by people in my country and in other parts of the world. It's evident that China controlled this virus very effectively by taking stringent measures. And I fail to understand how in the United Kingdom and the United States, for example, governments can be discussing children returning to school without the R number of transmission of the virus being at an acceptable level. We have a handful of new cases every day in China, most of these being imported, very few through local transmission. And yet still, we have stringent measures. All students must wear face masks to enter the campus. All teachers must wear face masks. We can remove them once we're on campus because ultimately there's so many measures in place and there's such an excellent track and trace system that we all feel quite secure and quite safe. I'm very happy to discuss the way that my school has responded to COVID-19 with colleagues from other parts of the world. I still think there's a lot that colleagues in other countries can learn from China. I have no doubt that no other country in the world has handled it better, and particularly we've almost been the pioneers in virtually every regard to this virus. To get it under control so quickly took an immense effort from governmental level through to the citizens of the country. And it's fair to add that people responded in China based upon their own free will. At community level, people pulled together, not because they were told to, but because they realized the importance of the common good and the value of solidarity. Please use the comment box at the bottom if you wish to engage in any form of conversation or debate about any of the issues I've raised, or if you'd just like some advice about how we handled this situation. Similarly, if you found any of this useful, please tick the like box so that other people may be drawn towards watching the video, and maybe subscribe to the channel and then get notifications of any future YouTube videos that come from International Education Today. You'll get notifications through YouTube, not to your email, so don't worry about being spammed. Thank you for listening. I hope this was helpful.